Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana What's the problem? What's that? What's that? There's a fire? What's that? Fell over. Upal. What's that? What's that? Can't. I cannot say so many words. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balaba Grivardhari Jaya Grivardhari Gopijana Balaba Grivardhari Jaya Grivardhari Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Braja Dhanaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Braja Dhanaranjana Yamunadiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamunadiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopijana Vallabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Braja Dhanaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Braja Dhanaranjana Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Situ Shri Shriman His Divine Grace Shalesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Shil Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribo Slava Zabrani Bhaktam Slava Shri Guru Shri Guranga. Om Agyanativanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutle Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaparakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhana Sudhadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Turvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 20, Bali Maharaj surrenders the universe, text number 10. Manasvina Karunikasya Shobhanam Yad Arti Kamo Panayena Durgati Kutakpuna Brahma Vidam Bhavadrisham Tito Vaijor Asya Dadami Vanshitam Manasvinak karunikasya shobhanaham yad arti kamo pananayena durgati kutak panar brahma vidam vabhadrisham tato vator yasya dadami vanchitam yad arti kamo panayena durgati kutak panar brahma vidam vibhadrisham tato vayor yasya dadami vanchitam manasvina karna kasya shobhanam yad arti kamo payena durgati kutak panar brahma vidam vibhadrisham tato vayor yasya dadami vanchitam. Ladies. Manasvina karna kasya shobhanam yad arti kamo payena durgati kutak panar brahma vidam vibhadrisham tato dator yasya dadami vanchitam manasvinaha. Persons who are greatly munificent. Karunikasya. A person celebrated is very merciful. Shobhanam. Very auspicious. Yat. That. Arti. A person's in need of money. Kama. Upanayena, by satisfying. Durgati, becoming. Poverty-stricken. Kutaha, what? Punaha, again, it is to be said. Brahma vidam, a person's well-versed in transcendental science. Brahma vidya, bhavadrisham, like a good self. Tata, therefore, vato, of the brahmachari. Asya, of this Vamanadev. Dadami, I shall give. Vanchitam, whatever he wants. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By giving charity, a benevolent and merciful person undoubtedly becomes even more auspicious, especially when he gives charity to a person like your good self. Under the circumstances, I must give this little brahmachari whatever charity he wants from me. Purport. One accepts a poverty-stricken position because of losing money in business, gambling, prostitution, or intoxication. No one will praise him. But if one becomes poverty-stricken by giving all his possessions in charity, he becomes adored all over the world. Aside from this, if a benevolent and merciful person exhibits his pride in becoming poverty-stricken by giving his possessions in charity for good causes, his poverty is a welcome and auspicious sign of a great personality. Bali Maharaj decided that even though he would become poverty-stricken by giving everything to Vamanadev, this is what he would prefer. Text 11. O great sage, great saintly persons like you, being completely aware of the Vedic principles for performing ritualistic ceremonies and yagyas, worship Lord Vishnu in all circumstances. Therefore, whether that same Lord Vishnu has come here to give me all benedictions or to punish me as an enemy, I must carry out his order and give him the requested tract of land without hesitation. Purport. As stated by Lord Shiva, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat paratharam devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Although in the Vedas there are recommendations for worshipping many demigods, Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Person, and worship of Vishnu is the ultimate goal of life. The Vedic principles of Varnashram institution are meant to organize society to prepare everyone to worship Lord Vishnu. Varnashrama charvataha purushena parakpuman Vishnu aradite panta nanyat tatosha karanam. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnu Purana 389. One must ultimately worship Lord Vishnu, and for that purpose the Varnashram system organizes society into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprastas, and Sannyasis. Bali Maharaj, having been perfectly educated in devotional service by his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj, knew how things are to be done. He was never to be misguided by anyone, even by a person who happened to be a so-called spiritual master. This is a sign of full surrender. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Mari ve raki vi yo icha tohara nitya dasa pratituya adhikara. When one surrenders to Lord Vishnu, one must be prepared to abide by his order in all circumstances. Whether he kills one or gives one protection, Lord Vishnu must be worshipped in all circumstances. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatunde Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharane Neha Bikramanashosti Pradyavayo Navidite Swapamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatobayat. That on this path there is no loss or diminution, and even a little advancement can protect one from the greatest danger. So although in conditioned life we're unconscious to different degrees, still, because in the human form of life we possess intelligence, therefore we can at least ascertain in any circumstance what would be our best interest. Now, from the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has emphasized, and throughout Bhagavad Gita he's explained in different ways, what is the difference between our real selves and the self that we misidentify ourselves with. Now, as soon as we forget what our real selves are, although it should be the most obvious thing, in other words, everyone feels that they're conscious, and everyone knows what they're looking at, except for the people, of course, are unconscious. So even a child should be able to understand, I'm alive, I'm conscious, that means I'm alive, and if anything that doesn't have consciousness in it is dead. And therefore there must be a difference between something that's alive and something that's dead. And the difference is consciousness. Now, consciousness means that we're aware, but there must be someone who's aware. We're not only aware through these senses, what we see with our eyes, what we taste with our tongue, what we smell with our nose, what we feel with our senses, but there must be some person who's experiencing these things. Now, most sane people will not claim that their wall is conscious, or that there's someone, the wall is a personality. There are some people who claim that, but they're not. We don't take them seriously, and so far, most of the people in society don't take them so seriously. Although the time will come when that will also be accepted. The wall will also be one of the genders. Neutral gender, of course. One of the rasas. But in any case, keeping that in mind, then we have to see what is the interest of the body. The interest of the body is we want to it has to survive. The body naturally wants to survive. For instance, if we all stop trying to breathe right now, we can try that. It'll only take a couple of minutes. And if you turn blue, we'll help you. So if we won't do that. Anyhow, if we stop breathing, then what would happen is that we'd fall unconscious. Maybe we probably wouldn't get that far, and then we'd wake up. If we stop eating, then we'll start feeling hungry. Because after some time, if we deny the body's existence, then the body will say goodbye to us, or we'll say goodbye to the body. But generally speaking, if we stop eating, especially, depending on what kind of body we have, after some time we'll feel hunger, which is a good sign that probably we should eat. Similarly, if we stop drinking water, we might feel thirsty. So the body naturally has a mechanism for telling us what is necessary to provide to it. Just like if you're driving a car and the car is working, then there's a little monitor that says what everything is at. So the body has different monitors. Now, who made these monitors on the car? What the gas level is, what the oil level is, what the heat in the engine. An intelligent person made it. Now, if we have all these mechanisms to tell us what the state of the body is, do we think it came about by accident? Do you think a modern car has come about by accident? And all the monitors on the car have all come about by accident? And that you don't need a conscious driver or any person to look at the gauges. The car will automatically maintain itself. Is there any such car so far? When the car feels a little low on gas, it goes to the gas station. Hopefully he has a credit card. And as soon as it feels a little thirsty, there's not enough water, it goes to the gas station and fills itself up with water, which is generally free, so at least that much it can take care of itself. No, that doesn't exist. The car has no consciousness, therefore has no intelligence, therefore it doesn't try to maintain itself. It requires a conscious, intelligent person to do it. Now, if the person doesn't know how to maintain his vehicle, like we have a lot of experience in our devotee communities, in our temples especially, they want the car to be austere many times. Sometimes it fasts from gas until it can't go anymore. Then we say, well, it looks like it's hungry. Maybe we should give it something. Get it back to the temple. Oh, it needs some water? All the fumes are coming out. It's forming a little cloud. It's melting, all the fire is melting the snow. Maybe we have to put a little water in the engine. So if the person's not very intelligent, he can't maintain the car very well. And similarly, if a person can't figure out what the symptoms of the body are, then generally he can't maintain his body very well. Or the smoke is coming out of the body, out of the car, and one is thinking, well, maybe it's some kind of sign language the car is telling me. I have to learn how to read smoke signals. No, one has to be intelligent enough to know how to read a gauge on the car. Similarly, one has to be intelligent enough to understand how the body works. Now, it just so happens one should also know how the driver works. It's not enough to take care of the car. There are people who become so absorbed in a particular game, literally speaking, these games, these video games, they become so absorbed in them, they stop eating and sleeping for days. They don't even take water. And do you know what happens to them? Yeah, that's right. What do you expect? They get another body. So some intelligence has to be there, that the body needs something, but one should also be intelligent enough to know what the soul's needs are. The soul really doesn't need to play video games. It can actually survive without them, although it may be controversial nowadays. On the other hand, the soul is looking for something. It's looking for security. Ever notice that when you try and step on an ant, it gets a little bit, it doesn't say, the lotus foot is going to come and touch my head. Please do it gently. Immediately the ant tries to get away from our lotus feet as quickly as possible. Because it wants security. Everyone wants security. Hardly anyone is foolish enough, if you see a tidal wave coming, tsunami, you don't think, well, it's time to go for a dip. Most people run the other way. Similarly, we want awareness. Awareness of what? Of how to be happy, how to be bliss, how to find ourselves in a situation, at least from the material point of view, is comfortable. And ultimately, we like something blissful. And generally, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, if one can afford it, are engaged in order to feel some kind of pleasure, some kind of positive happiness as can be experienced in the material world. So everyone wants knowledge of how to be happy and security, not for a little while, but as long as possible. Now, if one is not spiritually conscious, then the only shelter we have is the material energy. There's nothing else. So it's just a question of determining if someone's going to give us shelter, if someone's going to give us knowledge of how to feel secure and happy as long as possible, then we choose amongst the variety of things offered to us, which we will think will give us these three qualities: security, awareness, and happiness. Of course, the first thing is knowledge, because with knowledge then we can discriminate between what's permanent, what will give us happiness, and to what degree or to what extent or for how long. So everyone is listening to knowledge. Everyone wants the knowledge. That's why they have the internet. That's why they have school books. That's why children go to school, to learn something. To learn something about what? How to become secure, how to get some knowledge to become secure and happy. No one's going to school to find, generally speaking, in a civilized society, people don't go to school to find out how to become miserable. Please tell me how to become miserable. My home is too happy. My parents are too loving. I can't take it anymore. Please make me miserable and tell me how to suffer. So I can get out of my happiness as quickly as possible. No, much the opposite. Every promise is if you go to school, then you'll get a good job and you'll have all the things that will make you happy. Ato griya kshetra sutapta vitera janasya moho yam aham mameti. The wife, the children, the husband, the land, the cows, well, not the cows, but anyhow. So many paraphernalia which will make you happy. if you become qualified and deserve it by surrendering to us. Often people don't think, well, that's all right, you don't have to surrender, we'll give you all these things anyhow. No, the whole education is, if you want material happiness, then you'll have to surrender. If you don't surrender to us, you're going to have to surrender to someone else. Like you can join a group of robbers, and you can learn how to steal. You can surrender to them. So you got to surrender. And it's all on the basis of what you think is going to make you happy. So knowledge is simply an attempt to give information what will make one happy, and everyone's giving knowledge. Otherwise, everyone is giving their more or less their preaching. Otherwise, why do people join the mafia? Unless they have a good, sales pitch. Unless they provide, some social security in their own way, and some training, some fringe benefits also, of course. So everyone has this idea that let me learn from someone, and then make people make their choice. The only difference is that the Hare Krishna movement is offering something which is eternal, that's all. Something which is more subtle than simply learning how to, do a trade or a profession and get some money and go on the internet or go to the store and buy something. Generally speaking, food, shelter, etc. So it's offering something more subtle for happiness. But then again, if we think that the only happiness that exists is within the material existence, the activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and there's no need for investigation of anything else, then of course we're not going to sacrifice anything. We're not going to sacrifice our words, our intelligence, our wealth, or our lives, except for finding happiness in eating, sleeping, mating, defending in different ways. And if one accepts the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, that we're not this body, then one's determination to become happy in the materialistic activities may slacken a little bit. Maybe there's another avenue to obtain happiness. So this knowledge, the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, is very important as a foundation that our bodies are changing and we're eternal. That there's a possibility of another standard of happiness, another standard of security, which is obviously, if we realize that we're eternal, then we'd have no more worries anymore. We wouldn't worry about how long we're going to live in this body. We wouldn't worry about all the different problems that are going on in the material world, because we know it doesn't affect us, ultimately. Of course, we may participate in helping others overcome their problems, and their main problem is that they think there's so many problems. Because they don't know the real problem is the fact that they don't know that there's no problems for the soul. That's the main problem. And that's not that we're indifferent for the other problems, because the other problems prevent people sometimes from realizing that they're souls. So therefore that's a problem. Any problem that prevents someone from realizing their eternal identity and their relation with Krishna is a problem that should be solved. But even without solving all those problems, one can simply hear Bhagavad Gita with the right attitude and be prepared to follow its instructions and get out of all problems simply by reading Bhagavad Gita. There's nothing else that's necessary. But because we think other things are necessary, therefore Krishna has provided them to us, so that ultimately we can come to the platform of realizing that we're eternal and that our real interest lies in Krishna. So Bali Maharaj had realized that. He was willing to sacrifice the whole universe, and by a little instruction, maybe we can sacrifice, a few moments of our lives for Krishna, and then gradually increase it to the point where we become like Bali Maharaj, and even if we're given the universe, we'll be able to give it back to Vishnu, Krishna, Vamanadev. Well, we have to start somewhere, giving something to Krishna. Patram, pushpam, balam, toyam. If we say, oh, this fruit, I can't give it, there's not so much fruit. Or a flower, come on, there's so many flowers, pick one yourself, Krishna. You sacrifice something for Krishna, and then Krishna will reciprocate, and then we'll become inspired to give something more to Krishna. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, thank you for a very nice lecture. There's questions on the internet by Avodata Rayadasa. How Brahman can be without qualities if everything originates from Brahman? Ato Brahma Jidnasa.
How could a Brahman be without qualities? Is that what the word is?
Yeah, how Brahman can be without qualities?
Brahman.
Brahman,
No, Brahman has qualities. But Brahman is the effulgence of Krishna, so how can it not have qualities? And then when Krishna arranges through Brahman, it's transferred into the material world. So Brahman has no material qualities, it has only spiritual qualities. But by transformation of Krishna's energy, it becomes material, so-called material, which means to our eyes it looks like it's something different from spiritual. But of course Brahman comes from Krishna, so Krishna has so many qualities.
Thank you. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.